Good morning, I'm Dennis Weese for Eagle Communications. Welcome to our town, and guess where our town is today? We're at USD 473 in Chapman with the Superintendent Lacee Sell. So glad to be here.
Thank you. It's good to have you here. We're excited for this opportunity.
You know, when you called us and said, I'd like to talk about 473 and I'd like to thank our community for what they do for us, I thought that was just a very cool idea. So here we are.
Great.
And we sat down and we jotted down some things to talk about today, and then we both agreed we're both shoot from the hipper, so that's what we're going to do.
Right, exactly.
You know, I think my first thought of USD 473 is its unique nature. It's a very large rural school district that one of your most important pieces of technology is a thing called the school bus.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
Because that's how you gather your customers in every day.
Yes.
And you have a long history. You're a very old, consolidated rural school district.
Yes.
So what does that mean for people who are watching the program that just have never given it a thought?
Well, it means a lot, and I'm, again, thankful to have the opportunity to share. I'll first start by saying that our district encompasses 560 square miles. So that means that we go clear north to Wakefield, and we go east of 77. We go clear south to Skiddy and then Carlton, and then of course border to the west with the Abilene School District. Of our approximate 1,100 students, 70% of them are bused in every single day. We have 58 buses that run every single day. Yes, 5, 8, 50. And 33 vehicles as far as cars or Suburbans that need to transport preschoolers or special needs children. So right there alone, our total fleet is 91.
Wow. We'll have Brian get a B-roll shot of this in a minute so he can interpose it over this section, but your map is over there in the corner of your bus routes with kids' names penned in, and the lines, when you step back and look at it, are just amazing.
It is. The transportation director, Randy Heller, and I are just daily, constantly in communication. And one thing that I thought might also be another interesting fact is the miles that those buses and then the vehicles travel. And it equates to 627,700 miles a year. So on top of that, not only the cost of the buses and the salary that we pay for our drivers, but the maintenance, the fuel, our transportation budget is just remarkable.
The opportunity to look at those bus routes and those stats and those numbers, to me, says one thing. You serve a rural community, which is, there's a certain character of a rural community. Kansas is a big ag state. Chapman has a long history of producing people with great strengths and great technical skills in our industry. And there isn't a healthier industry in Kansas today than agriculture. You know, you have some rural attendance centers out in the world out there, so tell us a little bit about those too.
We do. Here in the town of Chapman, we have Chapman Elementary, the middle school, and the high school. But to the north, we have Blue Ridge and Blue Ridge Elementary. And every student is bused to and from every single day. You know, there's not any way to walk to school. Nobody walks to Blue Ridge. And that is the same with Rural Center Elementary to the south off of 1400 and K15. But it's, you know, there's an exception of a parent, you know, dropping off or picking up. But of those students that we transport, those two schools specifically rely on bus transportation. That's the same with the majority of our students at the middle school and at the high school. If they do not reside here in this town of Chapman, then they're bused in. So that's how we equate to approximately 70% of our entire student body is on a bus every single day.
In a conversation we had here the other day, you're talking about serving your customers and what that means to you. And we talked a little bit about your FFA programs, your ag programs, your technical building, and all of the things that you've done over the years as a school district to meet the needs of the people who live out on those dots. Tell us about that.
That's the foundation, we believe, of our school district. We're a rural school district, a rural community in the center of Kansas, and we are what we are. We're never going to be one of those suburban districts that grows by leaps and bounds. What we attribute to our fact of success in our life with agriculture is agriculture and the farms and the farming. It's a tradition that has been part of our school district since existence. You know, when we stop and look at the kids in the schools, there's second generational farm families, there's third, we're starting to see fourth. So that's just, it's the way of life here in our communities and in our school district, and it's why we take such pride in being able to still offer and instill those values that the families long ago started out in our community and our schools, and that's why we're able to offer and talk about and have the classes we do at the middle school and at high school. And you know, we're just coming off of the Triple Crown win, which is the top FFA award in the state of Kansas for 3 years in a row.
That is a big deal
It's
for people. You know,
huge.
there's a lot of people behind the camera that, that probably don't know about FFA, but Future Farmers of America, it's a long ways from just about farming. It's an incredible program that gives the opportunity for kids to do things way beyond just talking about agriculture. They do debate. They do parliamentary procedure. They have all sorts of technical contests.
Correct.
It's a great, great thing.
Correct. There's the agronomy side of FFA that there always has been, but more and more we're seeing the turf management, a lot of the horticulture, floral, oops, I
Yeah,
goofed.
I don't know what the term is either, but I know this. It's a transition from just feeding folks on the farm to growing things for people in suburban life. And it's important because it's still growing things in the ground. So, you know, as you look forward through meeting the needs of customers, that's what the marketplace is demanding. And it's very cool that you can make the adaptation from a very old rural school district to still serve those customer set, but take it to the future as well. I have a neighbor. I didn't ask him, so I probably shouldn't say his name, but when I first bought my house over by Talmadge, I lived in the USD 473 district, and the neighbor just to the south of me is a farm family, and they had several kids, and this young man grew up on the farm. I'd wave at him going by on a tractor, you know, several days a week. Well, he's out in Las Vegas now writing apps and programming and doing great things in the very leading edge of modern life. And he had his passionate start on that right here in your school.
Neat, neat.
Yeah. So schools aren't what they used to be.
No, no.
The mandates that you must do, but the things beyond that, the opportunities that you get to decide as a school board who sits around these tables and the executive on what you want to do for kids, that has to be pretty exciting in today's world.
It is, and there's a new push from our State Department as well as the nation in regards to standards that the students are expected to know by the time they leave each grade level, each subject area. And with the college and career readiness standards, we're really looking to infuse that curriculum both at the middle school and the high school. Back in the day, you had to go to the four-year college, and you had to go to college, and if you didn't, we're not even going to have conversation. But with these standards, it's the encouragement, not only from the staff, but the acceptance of the student and the family, that it's okay to go to trade school. And if you want to go to a 2-year, go for it. We're going to support you. And of course, the 4-year college programs as well. But it's our responsibility, not only to these kids, but to our taxpayers, our patrons, our school communities, that we take care of them while they're here in the district and prepare them to go be successful in life, whatever that is. If it's to go work on plumbing, if it's to go work on the farm, if it's to go be a welder, if it's to be a physical therapist or a doctor, it doesn't matter, just as long is that they can go somewhere and become productive. That's all we're asking for.
We are so glad to be here and have a superintendent of schools say that on the air. I think that if I had a wish list, I would be able to say, every school superintendent, please come give that same statement and make it public so the community knows that it's okay, number one, to pursue what you want to do. But the other thing is the earning potential of some of these jobs is absolutely astounding, and nobody knows about it. I've had 2 large John Deere dealers in our market area, Eagles market area, look me in the eye and say, I say, what's your biggest need? And they say, skilled employees. And I said, in what jobs? And they said, you know, mechanic. And I said, so what's a good combine mechanic make? And he says, $100,000.
100,000.
Yeah, I think those are real dollars too. They're not monopoly money. It's real. It's $100,000 job because it's that important to them, and that industry and that piece of machinery, a combine, is so expensive, and they're full of computer systems. So, you know, I think it's great that we say, you want to work on a farm but you love technology, you can make $100,000 as a John Deere combine mechanic.
It's about what each child, while we have them, we term them as children, but then when they graduate and get into the working world and field and become adults, it's about what they want. It's not about what the teacher wanted or what the principal or about what mom and dad. It's about what they want to do to be successful in life, to feel good about themselves. So anything that we can do to encourage that, you bet we're going to do it. That's our job. That's why we're here.
When we talked about doing this interview, I asked you, so what do you really want to accomplish? And one of the things you said to me was, I want to thank our community for their support, for the job we get to do for them. It really is an integrated process. So you're the superintendent and you're in charge of what goes on. You have people downstream from you on your org chart, and you have a lot of employees, and you have a lot of bus drivers doing a lot of work starting at 5:45 in the morning. But at the end of the day, that's just not all of the infrastructure of USD 473. It really is every single taxpayer in the district, or anybody that's ever had a kid here that wants to maybe move back to this area someday. They're all part of your team.
Right. And the thing that is so unique about our district is I've worked really hard with our Board of Education, principals, our staff. I think I remember it being termed Chapman 473. We're USD 473, and I want to explain that to folks because we use the example of the first grader at Enterprise Elementary in Enterprise, Kansas. Well, when you're having conversation with a little person about you go to Chapman schools, well, wait a minute, I go to Enterprise Elementary, and it's hard to make that connection. So we've worked very, very hard considering Enterprise Elementary lies within Enterprise, and that Blue Ridge Elementary and Rural Center, their physical address is Abilene, and they have their established communities in those areas. We are USD 473, and I think that's really helped people come together as a team. You mentioned that we're all here for the same reason, and while we encompass that large space and have kids from all over, in the end it's about USD 473. And we talk all the time about our school community, and that's not our community within this building or the schools. It's about the philosophy that the school is the community is the schools. And we look at that with our farming families in the Blue Ridge area and at Rural Center, our entire town of Enterprise, and then of course what we offer and have here in Chapman. So it's just a unique situation. You know, we deal with different municipalities too, and you know, we've done a lot of safety and security planning here the last year, and a lot of workshops and conferences we've attended. Well, you're going to call your police department, you're going to call your fire department. Well, depending where you are in USD 473, it depends on.
There's no Blue Ridge Police Department.
There's not. There's not. So we've really worked at that hard, and also tried to communicate that to our school communities, because it's everybody from north to south, east and west that lies within our district that is just so supportive, but also encouraging of what we do. I can remember when I interviewed for this position as a superintendent, I said, if you're looking for somebody to sit behind the desk and answer the phone and be on email and do that, I said, I'm not the fit. I have to be around kids. I always, always, always want to remember why I got into this profession. And I said, by that, I'm going to be in the schools. And I've really, really worked hard at that. I've completed my 3rd year, and I'm going into year 4. And I can honestly say that I was in every school the last 3 years, at least every month, if not weekly, on multiple times. And during that, I am amazed at the public that I run into. It's the grandma bringing up lunch that was forgotten, or it's dad picking up the sick child, or it's just somebody stopping by to check in and talk to the secretaries. And so by that, not only from being in this office and in the communities do I get that conversation, but by being in the schools I do as well. And I always try to take the opportunity to say thank you for being here, and thank you for being interested. Thank you for communicating and for supporting, because without that we wouldn't be where we are. We have very high expectations in everything we do. From the kindergartner to the senior, and from every single staff member. And I think in return that's expected by our school communities.
Sure.
You know, we're never going to just settle with being okay or being good. We always need to look to rise to become great. And without the support of our school communities, it wouldn't be possible. I wish I could find the term or the words or the phrase or the picture.
We've only got
just
5 minutes left,
you.
and you just hit my hot button, so I don't know how this is going to work out.
Okay.
But greatness is important. Inspiring people to greatness is a sure path to producing more. If, as a leader, you can't transfer a desire for greatness to the people who work under you, and in your case, your customers who are learning how to be adults in the world and being educated, then might as well shut the door.
Yeah.
We have challenging issues in our country. All countries do. And this institution, as a public institution, has the most input on how creative those solutions will be and how inspired people will be to address them.
Oh, yes.
And it's necessary and vital, and it can't be done without to have a vision of greatness.
Well, and there's a book by Jim Collins. It's called From Good to Great. It's one of my standbys that I quote and use a lot philosophically with not only our board, but our building administrators. And it's a great tool to have, but I'm not one to settle because it's good. We achieved this, we got this award, we have this many more kids, everything's okay, so we're gonna sit idle. The world's moving, and we gotta keep moving right with it, and preparing kids and helping them be what they want and what they need to do. So I've never worked that way. I don't have that philosophy. The staff of this entire district definitely does not have that attitude or that thought. So,
well, that's wonderful news to transfer to people on both television and the web as they watch your interview, Lacee. And we have just a couple minutes left, and I'm going to take a short diversion because I think it's important. There's a lot of economic development activity going on in Dickinson County right now, and what I mean by that is people are starting to recognize we have to try to grow, or you just slowly fall down. The old house falls down. So from there, you have a lot of military people who move into the community, who live in your community and go to your school. I doubt that there's another institution or another business, public-facing business, that sees more new people from other places than your shop does. So if you look at your burden, I will add to that, you're probably our biggest ambassador of what our area is and what the quality of life is and what can be attained here through education. I don't, the second place would go to the neighbor school district next to you, but you are probably the biggest ambassador for us, so you got a big job.
Oh, yes. No pressure, right?
No pressure, no pressure.
None at all.
What a great opportunity to
thanks.
sit with you
Yes.
and talk about these
Yes.
exciting things. I hope
Yes.
we'll get to do some more of this and to help you thank your community for what they do
absolutely.
for you,
Yes.
so you
Thank
can do
you.
this for them.
Yes,
Yeah. What an exciting time to be in education.
I think so.
Lots of great things can happen because young kids walk in the door.
Mm-hmm.
When all us adults put all the problems up in the world, that's okay. Keep bringing young kids in and
Right.
they'll figure out how to solve them
Yeah.
for us.
Yep.
Thank you for
Yeah.
letting us come today.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Thank you
Absolutely.
for the opportunity to sit in front
you.
of our town,
Yes.
Chapman USD 473. We love being here.
Yep. Thank you.
Folks, you can find Lacee Sell. You can find the building on the main street in Chapman. She'd love to see you walk in and have a comment about the school and what they do for our town. I'm Dennis Weese. Have a great day.